Hey, today I'm going to show you guys how to do a water pump seal change. This cover here is going to go to powder pretty soon. This is one of mine. It's going to go on a bike that I'm working on, so I need to go ahead and get it gutted anyway for powder. But I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do the water pump seal because I haven't done a video on that yet. So this week I'm trying to go ahead and cover a lot of the stuff that I haven't done before. These screws here, I tried getting this first one out and it wouldn't come out, so I'm going to go ahead and just knock them all out real fast with my impact driver. So we'll start there. These aren't going to come out either, even with this. That one came loose. Let's see if this one will. This is something you're going to run into quite a bit on Yamaha. They have a lot of Phillips screws. Okay, they won't come out. Only one's coming loose, so pretty much you know the drill. Take a Dremel and cut a slot in there so you can use your flathead bit on your impact driver, and they should come out. And just try to cut your slot right down the middle of the bolt head. Alright, now we have our slots drilled in them, or cut in them rather. So now we can get back on it with our impact driver, and I use a real big flathead bit that's in the kit. And they should come right out. Usually when you do that, they'll back right out because this bites a whole lot better than a Phillips. So here we go. Yeah, there. It's like they have Loctite on these babies. Okay, so you guys know what to do. I'm going to go ahead and take all these out, and I'll be right back. Okay, we got them all out. They were all really hard to come out. They had a lot of rust on them, and one of them I had a hard time getting it out. I tore it up pretty good. Which one is it here? I got it out far enough with the impact driver, then I used vice grips to grab it with and get it off. Now we go ahead and pop the cover off of there, and we can just take a dead blow, just give it a little tap to knock it loose. A lot of times they'll pop right off. This one here, I'm just going to hit it right here. There we go, pop it right off. We'll go ahead and lay that aside, and then we'll go to the back side and we'll pull the gear off of it. So here's what you're going to have on the back side. There's just a small E-clip back there. Just take a small flathead and reach in one of the grooves and pry the clip right off. And then you'll have a washer behind it. Slide the gear off, and then watch out for this roll pin back here. See that roll pin? Widen it up a little bit. This roll pin engages in the water pump gear. See here? So just slide that roll pin out. And make note of your bearing, the way your bearing is facing. The open side is facing the oil side. And the impeller will slide right out. And we'll turn it back over. And we'll go ahead and push the seal and the bearing out. Okay, I'm just going to use a socket to push it out with. And I just put an extension on there so I can kind of have something to hit. So I'll just back this out a little bit so you can see the whole picture. And we'll just take and drive it out. Okay. Now we can go ahead and flip it over. And there's your seal and your bearing. So see here, the bearing has a sealed side facing, it's going to be facing in or away from the transmission, from the oil. So seal side up. And to put everything back in, I'll go ahead and drive a new one in here, just so we can, just so I can show you guys the way that you're going to do it, and I'll just drive it right back out. Of course, you want everything to be nice and clean and pretty and all that good stuff. So take your new water pump seal and get it in there. And the way that I always install them is they'll have letters on them or numbering or whatever. Always put that out. So just go ahead and wipe the inside of your cover there. Be sure it's nice and clean. And then take a little bit of oil or a little bit of grease and put it on the outside of the bearing. I don't have any on hand. I'm just going to use some WD-40 just to lubricate it with a little bit. And we'll take and set it back in there. And for the most part, you can push it in by hand. It's almost all the way in there. And then what I'll do is take my bearing and I'm just going to wash it off a little bit with some brake cleaner. Be sure you clean it up really good. Inspect it. Be sure it rolls smoothly and all that good stuff. This bearing here is not really any good, so I'm going to replace it. So we're going to put it back in the same way we took it out, with the bearing, the ball bearing side, open side facing up, where it can get lubrication from the training. So just take and usually when you want to put it back in, you want to drive on the inside bearing race. So I'm just going to use this extension right here, and we'll tap it right back into place. That solid hit means it's all the way in. Okay, then we'll just take our impeller, put a little bit of lubricant on it, oil, a little bit of WD-40s. Actually, what I usually use, a little bit of WD-40, a little bit ain't gonna hurt. And then you're gonna take and put it back in, and just be really easy with it. Be sure there's no burrs on there. Be sure it's nice and clean, and nothing that's gonna damage your seal. So take and twist and push. Push it right on in there like that. And then you're going to take your gear and everything, and be sure it's clean, of course. Can't stress it enough. And take your gear. Put your roll pin back through like that, and be sure that you get your gear clocked the right way so that your roll pin engages. So what I'm going to do is set it about like that, and then set my gear down over it where I know it's going to engage. There, I felt it pop right in. And we'll install our washer. Putting the clip back on may be a little bit of a chore with my gloves. We'll get the clip back on there. Just take a flathead, catch the edge of it, put it right back on. There we go, and that's all there is to it. So then, got a new water pump seal and new bearing per se, all good to go. That's all there is to it. So I'm gonna take this one back out because it's going to powder, but just wanted to show you guys how it's done. So y'all have a good day. Also guys, I didn't tell you, it should go without saying, just go ahead, before you put it back together, get this all cleaned up nice and clean, get the old gasket off of your cover, then install your new gasket and put it all back together the way it came apart. And if you want to use Yamaha bond on there, you can. I don't use Yamaha bond, just make sure it's good and clean, and I haven't had any trouble. That way, if in the future, if I want to upgrade it or anything and put a different impeller in it, well, I can just pop that right off. And most times the gasket stays intact and ready to go. So there it is. That's it, guys.